Hello and welcome to the Tea Party Hardy channel with a review of The Muppets Now, Episode 3, Getting Testy. Have you ever had one of those days where you're just in a really good mood and everything's going your way and you're like, wow, this is so amazing, what can I do to change it? Turn on The Muppets Now. It will suck every bit of life and marrow and humor completely from your bones and just throw it into the ether of outer space. This is episode 3. It's a wise choice, if you can handle it, to give a new show 3 episodes to see where they're going to go and where the groove is starting to lean. So I have now given this show 3 episodes, and oh, it's just painful. Normally I do spoiler-free reviews. This is not going to be normal. This show is just a total tornado hurricane. What does that mean? Well, what does a tornado do? It sucks! And a hurricane sucks bigger. Oh, this show is just so bad. Okay, on what should be the bright side, they did bring back some beloved characters, including Statler and Waldorf, and all of their critiques you actually agree with. They're like, oh, it was terrible, it was awful. It's like, God, they're not actually joking. They're actually telling the truth. Yeah, painful. Okay. So, it goes into this okie dokie thing. And the cooking show. It's just, what is with this concept? Okay, you have this guy that in any normal job would have to cover all these billions of tattoos. But whatever, this is Disney. This is Disney 2020. We're into showing all different kinds of things that are from the left. This show is a cooking show for the 3rd week in a row, and it's like a cooking show where they cook stuff and they don't tell you the measurements and they don't tell you the stuff, and they certainly do not interject any funny humor into it. So if they're not going to give you the recipes and they're not going to interject humor, what is it besides painful? Don't know. Okay, so we go from that unbelievably unfunny sketch for the 3rd week in a row into, oh, it's really long as you can see. See, the food's fine, but they're not giving you the recipe. Now, last week I raved about how good this segment was. I'm not going to do that this week. There's so many things wrong with this particular sketch. In the first sketch, they cook some food. Presumably the people on the set ate it after they shot it. On the shows I worked on, that's what we did. Except for the one where they brought in all the insects and bugs. We're like, no, we're good, thank you. Okay, now, this one, all they do in this sketch is waste food. Who thinks it's a good idea to waste food? There are billboards and all these public service announcements all the time warning Americans, stop wasting food. This sketch does nothing but waste food. That's the whole point of the sketch, is to waste food. Real food, not pretend food. When you watch shows, particularly shows with cakes, typically what they'll do is they'll make a cake that moves and stands up like a cake with some of the ingredients of cake, but it tastes terrible. Because as I mentioned before, when they're all done with it, they offer it to the crew. And since I was on the crew for a few different shows, I'm like, oh dude, nasty. Thank you, appreciate it. The frosting was fine, but so anyways, yeah, they're not going to be doing it with this one because they're slamming all the food against the wall. Now, the other thing really wrong with this episode, besides the fact that they're like blatantly wasting food, you know, it's bad enough to live in a country where people pay money for surgery to cut out their own stomachs because they can't stop eating. You don't hear about that happening in Africa, do you? You know, in sub-Saharan Africa, we're like, oh man, I've eaten so many crickets today, I better cut my stomach out because I'm just so gorgeous. No, they don't. We live in a country where people are so rich, not everybody, but there are some who are so rich that they can't stop filling up the fridge and then filling up their tummy, and so they pay money to cut out their stomach. So anyways, let's just add to that. Let's just take food with the many people in the world including people that are in miles long food pantry lines due to the shutdowns. And let's just waste food. Good going, Disney. Way to go. Now, the other thing wrong with it is there was another network that was short-lived, died very recently, as a matter of fact, in the last couple of weeks, where that was the whole premise of the show, was let's bring in all these famous chefs and waste food and just throw food all over the place. And it's like, needless to say, it tanked because that's stupid. Most people recognize food is to be consumed and to be treated with reverence. And I do mean reverence, that we're darned lucky we live in a place where we can have not only food, but for many, food in abundance. But that doesn't give us the ethical reasoning to waste it. So this guy comes on, he does a joke about Caltech, because every child knows about Caltech. I'd have to say, I remember when I was... No, I didn't. Now, I've been to Caltech. It's really nice. Surprisingly, in some of the science classrooms, they have some seriously ancient stuff from like the 1960s. And in Science World, that's pretty ancient. But apparently they seem to think in Caltech, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So good for them. So they do the Caltech joke. They waste all the frickin' food. They do interject some legitimate science, but not like last week. The way they do it this time, it's so fast and so furious, and no, they're not in a car, that it's not going to stick, though the food sticks to the wall in the sketch. It's just not funny, and it's just wrong to waste all that food. You got people in food pantry lines that stretches miles, and Disney thinks it's okay to splatter food on the wall and not put any jokes in there. Oh no, that's the joke. Yeah, they tried that on another network, and that network went belly up. So there you go. There it is. Look, food flying, not CGI. That's the real food. Not funny, guys. Really not funny. Oh god, the awful Miss Piggy sketch. I love Miss Piggy, but they're giving her nothing here. There's no comedy. Ugh. Oh, that was my favorite scene right there. That was good stuff. Okay. Then they go back to Pepe's unbelievably dumb game show. And not funny. None of it is funny. And again, who are these people? I don't know. I've seen him somewhere before, but not in a major way. And then what do? Well, because it's Disney, first of all, we have to have the racial mix. Okay, and racial mix in Hollywood appears to be black and white. It's funny. They invented color TV. And when you get color TV, according to Hollywood 2020, we're back to black and white. You would think that a country that is filled with folk from all over the world, and since Disney has this little ride called It's a Small World After All, they'd have a better idea that, there's more than just black and white people on planet Earth. But you wouldn't know it by the Muppets, or many other Disney productions, or any other Hollywood productions for that matter. Okay, so what do? Well, I told you, this is not spoiler-free. This has got lots of spoilers. They make him put on makeup, because that's what men do in Hollywood. Yeah. Is it funny? Well, I don't know. Are you laughing yet? Yeah, I don't think so. Okay, then what do? Oh god, look how long that sketch is. Kill me now. Okay, yeah, oh. And then they brought him back, the guy who eats everybody. So you know where this is going, because that's his shtick. He eats everybody. Sorry, I wasn't actually amused by him when I was little, because he's one of Jim Henson's very first characters. But there's nothing funny in this show. It's horrible. And seriously, when these guys... Well, it certainly met our expectations. What was their expectations? It was awful. It was lousy. Here, listen.
Ooh, fantastic. Yeah, we expected it to be lousy, and it was.
It's not a joke if it's totally true. It's supposed to be somewhat true. Well, there you go. There's the review of episode 3. If you made it through this this review, and you take it as a warning to not just... If you're a Muppet diehard, you're going to do it. You're going to suffer. I am a Star Trek diehard, but I'm not going anywhere near that new cartoon show that they're doing called Below Decks. They burned us so much, us Star Trek fans, with Discovery, and then Picard. It's like, guys, the bridge there's nothing left of the bridge. You didn't just burn the bridge, you nuked it. You can't even tell there was a bridge there. So when we see a show with the Star Trek label on it and it's from the modern world, we're like, I can't see that. Nope, doesn't exist. That's what they're doing to the Muppets at the exact same time. Hollywood has destroyed the franchise of Star Wars. Thank you, Kathleen Kennedy and Disney. They have destroyed the franchise of Star Trek. Mentioned the shows above. And now they're putting in the thickest nails into the coffin of the Muppets. Because if you watch this and you're getting entertainment out of it... Oh, I skipped the part where Miss Piggy's wasting food too. There's a sketch with her and Tyne, whatever that guy's name is. The one that was on that other episode. He's a returning... No, where it's really short. Because this one is so long because it's so funny. I can't find it. Anyways, they got Miss Piggy wasting food with what do you call it? Spaghetti all over her. No, more wasted food in the same episode. It's nice to know that those fat cats that produce these shows think it's completely hilarious and funny to just waste food while there are people starving throughout this entire freaking nation. You watch PBS and you're like, oh, there's food insecurity. Probably because the Muppets are wasting it and throwing it against the wall while you're starving with your food insecurity. You living in a time where you have food insecurity, not hunger. No, you're just, I don't know if I'm going to be eating later today. Whoa. Well, here, have a cracker while you're worried. Oh, thanks. Appreciate it. And microaggressions. You know, micro, as in you have to look through a telescope. Not telescope. Microscope to see it. That's how tiny it is. Oh, and when you see it, you better go ballistic. Goodness gracious. All right, it's enough of that review. Oh, we'll see you in the future. Painfully for a few more episodes. Like, God, I hope the show gets canceled. I really, how do you cancel a show that's on Disney Plus? I don't know. But if there's a way, for God's sakes, get this off the air and just save us all. Put on reruns of the old show where there was music and there was fun and there were jokes and people laughed and had a good time. Unlike this. And they didn't waste stuff just to waste stuff. They did a few pie fights, but if you've ever watched a pie fight, it's not a pie fight. It's just foam. It's not really a pie. Except in a... Yeah. Anyway. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the future.